Welcome back to Jesus Saves podcast. I'm your host, Ashley M., and I'm so glad that you decided to tune in today for this week's episode. So, this is going to be a place where faith meets real life and where we dig deep into kingdom principles that guide our relationships, purpose, and walk with God. Today's episode is a word for those who are waiting, praying, and believing for kingdom marriage. We're going to be talking about purpose partnerships, how God doesn't just bring two people together just to fall in love, but to fulfill destiny together. So let's start up with the foundation. Let's get back to Genesis, right? The creation, right? So in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, the Lord said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper who is just right for him." So from the beginning, we see that marriage was God's idea, and the woman was created not just to be present, but to be purposeful, right? Not just any helper, but a helper who was just right for him. So, and in verse 20, it says, "But still, there was no helper just right for him." So, in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, right, and he was setting everything up, he was setting up the skies, the water, the trees, the animals on the land, the animals in the sea, right? He was getting earth prepared so that when humans came onto earth, they had food, they had water, they had all the resources that they would not be in lack of anything. And before Eve was, brought onto the earth, it was just Adam and God, right? So God gave Adam a role, and he was responsible for tending to the garden, right? He was to name all the animals on the earth, right? And he had that job. That was his purpose, right? And God was looking around, and like God sees all these animals, and God's like, none of these animals are going to be a suitable helper for Adam. Like this is not going to work, you know? These are animals, he's a human. They're not going to be able to help each other. That's not going to be beneficial. So that just shows us that not everyone who's around us is going to be who is assigned to us, right? So God custom grafted Eve for Adam. She was made from his rib, like literally a part of him, like close to his heart, protected by his side, like not from the dust like Adam, like literally she was made from Adam. And I was rereading this earlier this weekend. I've read Genesis multiple times. I'm like, okay, like I've read this before, I know the story, but reading that part just hit so differently. I'm like, wow, like she was literally made from Adam. She's literally a part of him. Like they are literally one. And I was like, wow, like it just makes me think about marriage and like how you literally become one. You're literally a unit, you know? Like that was just so beautiful to me that God chose to make Adam's helpmate, his wife, from him. So that's why divine alignment truly matters, right? When your purposes don't align, the relationship can't fulfill what it was created to accomplish. So God will place people in your life for a reason, right? Not everyone is meant to go with you to different seasons in life. And especially when it pertains to kingdom marriages and just relationships in general, if they're not associated to your purpose or going to help align you with your purpose, they're not going to be meant to be in your life. And I think God is very specific in the way that he orchestrates things, right? They have to be aligned with your purpose. God is not going to align two people together for no reason, especially when it comes to marriages. Like if these individuals are not equally yoked, if they don't have purposes that are aligned, it's not going to work out. It's not going to make sense. So let's talk about recognition, like when a man recognizes his wife. So in Genesis chapter 2, verses 22 to 23, it says, "When Eve is brought to Adam, what does he say? 'At last, this one is bone from my bone and flesh from my flesh.'" So sorry, "Bone from my bone and flesh from my flesh." He recognized her. Immediately when he saw her, he knew, okay, she's a part of me. Okay, this is the helper that God said that I needed to have. Like he recognized it immediately. He knew that she came from him. There was no guessing. There was no confusion. There was no like going back and forth. Wait, is she the helper? Is she the one that God chose? Like, there was none of that. He didn't have to test other women to figure it out. He knew immediately. He saw Eve and recognized that was his wife. He had a knowing. And I strongly believe that when a man knows who his wife is, he's going to pursue her. Like, a woman doesn't have to, do too much to be seen or just be like, pick me. Like, he's going to choose to pursue his wife. He's going to be able to recognize that's his wife. He's going to get that revelation and confirmation from God that that's his wife. He's going to know. And you shouldn't have to, force yourself on a man. Like, if he wants to pursue you, if he feels that, there's a connection, this might potentially be his wife, he's going to pursue you. You don't have to force a man to pursue you because it's in a man's nature to pursue, right? We're not meant to pursue a man. So society will tell you, like, it's okay, shoot your shot. Like, women can shoot your shot too. Like, sometimes you got to do that. But it's like, no, we're not meant to do that. Let the man pursue you. And if he wanted to, he would, right? There's no need to try to do too much to be seen. It's not necessary, because your kingdom husband, your kingdom spouse is going to know that you're their spouse, and they'll pursue you accordingly. So that's really something I wanted to like emphasize on. Like, a kingdom man will most definitely be able to recognize his wife through revelation. He's going to get revelation, he's going to get confirmation from the Lord, from people. Like, he's going to know. It's not going to be a trial and error where he's going to be like, okay, I have to date around, I have to test drive the cars to see who's for me and who's not for me. Like, that's not required. That's not necessary at all. Because when God has your God ordained spouse, God has specifically chosen that person for you and you for them. So there's no need for you to try to look around and test drive, because God has specifically made that person for you. God specifically made Eve for Adam. She was made for him, a suitable helpmate for him. So your kingdom spouse is going to be a suitable helpmate for you. There, there's going to be compatibility there. You're going to be able to recognize and know. And scripture says in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22, that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Let's reread that. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Notice it says he who finds a wife, not she who finds a husband. It's not in our design as women to pursue a man. You don't have to chase, you don't have to compete or prove yourself. If a man wants to pursue you, wants to get to know you, wants to be intentional about, courting you, he's going to do it. And if he doesn't, he's not. Just like Esther, right? You'll be seen when you're in position. Esther, if you guys haven't read the book of Esther, I would most definitely recommend reading it. It's such a great book, but I'll give you like a quick synopsis. So, King Xerxes was married to Queen Vashti, and he was having this like royal banquet where he had all his friends come over. And because she was so beautiful, he wanted to show her off to his friends. He wanted her to dance for them. But King Vashti was like, I'm not doing that. You want me to do all that? That's not happening. So he got pissed off, and he was like, you know what? You're no longer queen. I'm done with you. So then now he was on like the hunt to find a new queen. So he sent like the message out, like he's trying to find a virgin queen, a new queen to take Queen Vashti's place. So they got all the virgins in the land, hundreds, maybe thousands of them, to come to the palace to see if the king, would deem any of them to be his wife. Esther was among all the hundreds of virgins. Yeah, so Esther was specifically chosen by the king to be his wife. She didn't have to do too much to be seen by all the other women. She didn't have to do cartwheels and flips and be like, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. She was, he was seen by her, right? I mean, she was seen by him, sorry. And she was specifically chosen by him to be his new wife. But long story short, so she became queen, and their marriage was specifically for a purpose. because one of his officials, King Haman, hated her uncle Mordecai, and he wanted to get rid of the Jews because they were Jews, right? So she didn't reveal what her identity was, that she was Jew at the time. And so he was plotting to kill all the Jews. So when Esther heard about this, her uncle was like, "You're in a position, right? You're queen. You need to talk to the king so that he doesn't do that." And Esther was kind of like a little afraid to do that because it's just like, you know, not anyone can go up to the king. He has to specifically tell you, "Oh, come speak to me." So she was like kind of back and forth, and she was just like, "I don't know." Like, but her uncle was like, "You were specifically brought here for a purpose, for a time such as this. Like, you were brought here for a reason. Now, if you're not the one to help liberate your people, someone else will do it." So the people, so the Jews and Esther, they all went on a 3-day fast, and she was like, "You know what? We're going to fast. And then after the fast, I'm going to go talk to him and then figure it out." Long story short, she spoke to the king. He um, allowed her request to be made. So he found out about what his official was planning on doing with plotting to kill the Jews. He ended up getting him killed, and then her people were free. And their marriage was specifically for a purpose, right? Helpmates. The king was a helpmate to Esther. The king, being someone who had authority and power, was able to help her liberate her people. Their union was for a reason. She was specifically placed at that palace to be seen by the king to be queen so that she can free her people. It was for a purpose. Their marriage was for a purpose. And her being queen, she has influence as well. She has influence because she's married to the king. So she has an opportunity to talk to him, to be around him, and, get him to know what's going on. So Esther, right, out of all the women, like I said, he specifically chose Esther, but God chose her first, right? She wasn't just selected just for her beauty. She was positioned specifically to deliver her people. Her marriage to the king gave her access, right, to authority, and her obedience to God gave her the boldness to walk in her purpose, right? She was walking in her purpose. It could have been, she must have been terrified, right? She was uncertain of like how this would have gone. Like, what if the king's like, "No"? What if he's like, "I'm a Jew, get out of here"? Like, there's so many things that could have gone wrong. But she was bold. She had faith. She was walking in her divine purpose. So this really is a picture of kingdom marriage, right? The man uses his position to protect and empower, and the woman uses her influence to birth purpose. And together they walk in destiny. And it is a partnership, right? They are walking together, they are united, right? They are able to work together and help each other on the way. And partnership is just so important. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 11 reminds us that two people are better off than one, for they can each help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. We're not meant to go through life by ourselves, right? It's so important to have partnership, whether that's marriage, friendships, companionship, whatever the case may be. Like, we are meant to help each other, right? So if you're struggling and you feel weak, you can have that other person help encourage you and uplift you. Like in a marriage, like if your husband is struggling and going through a difficult season, you as his wife can help encourage him, can help uplift him, can help speak life into his life, and vice versa. Like, we're meant to encourage and help each other. Because if you're a lone wolf all by yourself, struggling in the wilderness, and you don't have anyone else to help you, you're going to be out here lacking, right? Lacking resources, lacking other things that other people could have that could possibly benefit you. But because you're just refusing to receive help, you're going to be out here struggling. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to acknowledge, like, you know what? This is a tough season. I'm going to need someone to help pray for me, to, bridge the gap for me. And your kingdom spouse should be the one that is capable of doing that. That's why it's so important to be equally yoked. Equally yoked in relationships, equally yoked in friendships, because if you guys aren't both on the same spiritual level, you're not going to help to encourage and uplift the person. Like, you're going to need someone who's going to have strong faith, or even stronger faith, to help encourage you, to help pray for you in the spirit, to understand the importance of like praying and fasting, seeking the Lord, understanding that the battle is not against flesh and blood. Like, if you don't have people to help encourage you and remind you of God's word when you're struggling, when you're low, you're just going to stay in that low place. But we're called to help each other. We're called to be a blessing. And especially in marriage, you're really there to support each other, right? It's not just about you anymore, it's about you and this other person. So, kingdom marriage isn't just about companionship, it's really about partnership. You're not meant to just survive life together. You're meant to succeed together. You're meant to worship together. You're meant to seek the Lord together. You're meant to add to the kingdom together, right? We're stronger together. We're stronger when we are united, right? You're each other's help. You're each other's strength. You're each other's covering. When one is weak, the other intercedes through prayer, through fasting. When one feels lost, the other brings clarity, brings revelation from the Spirit. And in Mark chapter 10, verse 9, it says, "And when God joins it together, no man, no insecurity, nor storm can tear it apart. What God has joined together, let no one separate." Right? So if this, partnership, if this marriage, is this, if this union or friendship is God ordained, it's going to last through the test of time. Now, I'm not saying that that means there's not going to be hard times. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be seasons where you guys go through things that are meant to break you, that are meant to pull you guys away, but when God is the center and the foundation of that relationship, it is going to be strong because it is rooted on the source, which is God. And understanding that you're going to go through hard times. Life is not going to always be peaches and rainbows. There's going to be hard seasons. And having the right partnership, having the right spouse, having the right friend to help encourage you and be there for you in the good times, in the bad times, being your support is so important, right? That's why you have to really choose your spouse wisely. Don't be impatient. Don't feel like, oh, like, time is ticking. Maybe I should just settle and just choose this person or choose that person, because you have to think about this. This is going to be the person that is going to be leading your children, that is going to be the one that's going to be that role model. Like, you want someone who is a man of God, who is able to lead, who is able to be respectful and cover his family, who is faithful. Like, you don't want to just pick any and anybody just for the sake of, oh, I'm lonely, I'm by myself. No. Like, this marriage is a covenant. Like, it is literally God ordained. Like, you have to really hold it to that regard and be willing to wait on God, because God's timing is always on time. He's not going to give you something before the time. And God specifically will orchestrate things in his divine timing, right? We can't rush the process, right? In your season of waiting, spend time in the word, spend time, strengthening relationship with God, spend time with family, spend time with friends, get involved in your church, serve your local community, right? Be a blessing, enjoy life, because when you're married, when you have kids, when you have other responsibilities, you're not going to have as much time to devote to being in the word, to spending time with the Lord, because like, you have a whole bunch of responsibilities and things that you got to do. And I think I've watched like a good amount of videos that spoke about that. Like, I've married women talk about, like, like in my single season, I was really able to like lock in with God, really able to like really be content in God's presence and really strengthen my relationship with Him. But when I got married and had kids, like less time. So they really said to embrace your single season, really embrace all the time that you have to be fully devoted to God, because you're not going to get this time back, really. And it's really a blessing just to really be in His presence. Because when you really look around it, like God is just so good. You can look around life, just the fact that He woke you up this morning, the fact that you're here watching this video, the fact that you're in your right mind is just blessings from God. And there's just so many things just to be thankful for God for. Like, He's a provider, He's just a good father, and He's just deserving of all the glory, the honor, and the praise always. And God is just good. And I think we have to just be content with where we are in life in our different seasons, because in life, there's different seasons, right? And every season is for a purpose. No season is wasted by God. And God knows your heart's desires. God knows what you want. He knows what you need. And He's going to always provide what you need at the right time. We just have to have faith. We just have to trust Him and know that He's got it all covered. There's no need to worry. There's no need to stress. God's got us. Okay. I also wanted to mention that companionship is a good thing. It's okay, right? In Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 8, it says, "This is the case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? It's all so meaningless and depressing," right? So this man doesn't have a family. He's working hard, making his money, I guess striving in his business. I guess he has a whole bunch of money, and he's out here just living life, but he has no one to share it with. So he's the one that's like grinding. He's like, I don't got time to date. I don't got time to talk to nobody. Like, I'm just locked in with my job, me and my job, locked in. But it's like he goes home at night and he's just depressed and lonely. He's like, I've acquired all these things, all these riches, but I have no one to share it with, to enjoy it with. Like, that is so sad. And I feel like sometimes society pushes like, oh, you don't need nobody. Like, well, for women, they'd be like, okay, you don't need a man. You can do it on your own. Or men, like, you don't got to worry about no woman. Like, just focus on your job and your grind. And nothing's wrong with working hard, but we can't deny the importance of like family, the importance of like companionship and having someone to do life with. Like, that's just so sad. Like, you're going so hard, but like you're all alone. It's like the money's not going to fulfill you, the job's not going to fulfill you. And I think just having partnership, having a family, like having a purpose. Like, I don't know, I feel like I know a lot of people who have kids and they're like, my life changed instantly when I became a parent. Like, it just gave me a new sense of purpose and just a drive that it's not just about me, it's about this child, that I got to work hard to provide for this child so that this child is well taken care of. It just gives you a new sense of purpose. Just having that family, having someone to spend life with. And I think partnership is very important. Companionship is important. You know, we're not meant to be alone, and it's okay to have companionship, partnership. So, I just wanted to encourage anybody, if you're in your waiting season, just like me, remember this. You don't have to strive to be seen. You don't have to rush what God is still preparing, and your spouse will recognize you when you're walking in your assignment. So, really focus on walking in your purpose. Focus on being led by the Lord, you know, doing what God has called you to do, being obedient to Him first. Because remember, Eve didn't come until Adam was settled in his assignment. right? Until he was working and walking in his purpose, that's when she came. So kingdom marriages are born out of purpose alignment, not preference or performance. So stay faithful, stay in position, and most importantly, trust God's timing. Because when He brings two people together, it's not just a wedding, it's a divine assignment that's being fulfilled. Truly. So I just want to thank every listener who's trusting you, Lord, for a marriage that honors you. Align them with your their purpose partner, Lord. Prepare their hearts, sharpen their vision, and give them peace in the waiting season. Let their unions reflect heaven on earth. In Jesus' name, amen. So, thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If this blessed you, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Until next time, stay grounded, stay faithful, and stay kingdom minded. God bless.